Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we're looking at Atta Boy by Tony McMillen. Super fun book. It's kind of like Pinocchio meets Tron. I love this book. It's very cool. It's this large, almost treasury-sized edition by one of my favorite underground indie cartoonists. And I can't wait to show it to you. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit that like button. I'm going to cue the intro and I'll be right back.
It's Troy TV. Comic book art critiques. Snarky talk and sarcastic ways. Representing geeky gaze. 80s comics rule the day. Hurry up and turn that page. Michael Fitz Troy.
Okay, so here we go. From nuts to bolts or whatever, like from cover to cover, this is an amazing book. Sold out, like I think this large size is anyway. You might still be able to find it, but Tony is selling a new, I think, smaller version, and that would be definitely worth getting to. But the art is so cool in this. I'm so glad that I get this large size. It's giving me like Kirby vibes. And I think that he even thanks Kirby in the back here with a little nod to like Machine Man. And there's definitely influences. I love Tony's writing style. This is such a great, fun book. I feel like a lot of his strengths is he obviously seems to draw on like his own personal life and a lot of it from his youth. And it sort of has that same yearning or like tugging at your heartstrings that you kind of get from either like Stephen King or Steven Spielberg with their like sort of youth nostalgia. And this is such a cool, fun concept. Like it's sort of based on the premise of remembering this video game that nobody else remembered called Atta Boy. So he's like writing this instruction manual to sort of try to, I don't know, bring it back to life or remember it. And I just love it all around. Like, I think the logo is so cool. Like, it just like sets the tone. And this is like a really iconic looking cover. I love Tony's art. He's like definitely, like I can definitely see this as like a Netflix series or like a feature film or a cartoon if they were able to like somehow emulate the style in which Tony does this. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got into filmmaking next. He's like a musician, he's a prose novelist, talented all over the place, a little annoying how talented he is, but there's this great character in here. I love the font for the lettering. It just really, the style is so like, it's funny when I was reviewing the Friday the 13th book, I noticed the Sam Keith influence. And, but I mean, it's so much a style unto himself. Maybe a little Sam Keith, maybe a little Bill Sienkiewicz, I don't know, but there's sort of a cartoony element to it at the same time that gives it this sort of, I don't know, joyousness to it. And his like insane color palette, I love it. Like, like that is cool. Like one of my favorite things in comic books is like a cityscape, and he nails it. He draws such a like unique cityscape. I really appreciate that. Like, and his color palette is insane. It's funny, and I think the larger format like made me realize it, but it's almost, even though it looks nothing like it style-wise whatsoever, it reminds me a little bit of Barry Windsor Smith's Storytellers because the art was so big and gorgeous. And Barry I feel like he was using like a lot of purples and blues and stuff, so it's kind of giving me that. I love this. Like I said, it's kind of like Pinocchio meets Tron. You know, it has this sort of video game element to it, but there's a story with like the fatherly creator, and he sort of looks like Geppetto. So maybe Tony, if you're watching, if you can confirm nor deny that. I don't know. I don't want to give away your secrets. You know, as much as I'm into the behind the scenes and the whys and the wherefores, I think that with any good story, it's sort of like what you take from it yourself and your own personal experience with it. And I love pages like this. This is so artistic and so well done. Like, this is like pretty impressive that Tony did all this himself, and it just looks so beautiful. Like, it's funny because it's not really a debate, but just sort of gotten into the question of editors and how much they add or take away. And I don't know, like, I don't think there's an editor listed. I don't know if Tony has a person to run his stuff by or whatever, but it just seems so complete and, like, well done as far as, like, making sense and just, like, being a cohesive, like, together story where it, you know, especially given the nature of what it is, it could be all over the place and just, like, still be brilliant and not necessarily have to make sense, but it has, like, all the elements you would want, like, in a great story, aside from amazing, like, double page spreads like this, which I am so grateful for. I mean, this is so beautiful. Like, if you ever wanted to be sold on Tony McMillen's art, like, this is the book to do it on. This is beautiful. I have another, I forgot what it's called, something creatures. It's mentioned in the back. I'll get to it, but I have that sitting in my read pile, and that seems a lot more dense because I got the trade paperback, so I was, like, more easily able to climb right into this, and I love it. Like, I think he works digitally, and there's such a great combination of, like, using these digital tools to achieve, like, such a practical look or something like that. But it's so great, like, just his storytelling, and I love, like, his variation of panels, and, like, it's definitely feels like you're on a journey, and it's a page turner, I'll tell you that. Like, I'm glad I'm looking at it again so soon after reading it, because the art, the story carries you along fairly quickly, but there's so much intricacy and, like, beauty in the art that you definitely have to go back and look at it all over again. And of course, now I am seeing, you know, the Kirby influences, but talk about a different spin and take, and just, there's such a, like, visceral rawness to Tony's style, but a lot of connectability. Like, there's a lot of emotional heart, and I felt it reading it. I just think it's so good. Like, I have to say, like, you know, I'm more of a person who definitely, like, for comic books, it's 90% the art for me, and, like, a good story, of course, is, you know, so important to a comic book, but the art is, like, the visual telling of the story anyway. So if you have good art, oh my god, this is so funny, and I have to say it because I say it every time it happens, but usually it's during a 90s image comic book, but the inevitable point where we have to turn this book sideways for this sort of sideways double page spread. So I love it. Like, oh, and look how small Atta Boy is compared to this figure. That is so cool. Like, this is so epic. Like, I want to see this, like, directed by Zack Snyder or Steven Spielberg or Tony McMillen himself, who I'm sure would be an amazing director in addition to all his other talents. So maybe that will happen one day. Who knows? He seems to be on fire with all his ventures, and he deserves all this success that I hope is coming his way, because he is one of the most talented artists on my radar that isn't. And it's funny because the state of the comic book industry now, this is more the way to go, I feel. Of course, there's talent coming out of the big two and still some good books. And, you know, obviously the main focus of a lot of my other videos is, like, you know, Marvel and DC Comics from the 80s, 90s, and maybe late 70s, even though that really wasn't my period. But, you know, and those will always be classic to me. I think it's kind of like music. It's like your favorite is always what had the biggest impression on you when you were younger, I think, or maybe your introduction to it. I don't know. But I'm enjoying like these kinds of books so much more right now than anything coming out of the main two. And it's like, this is a gift to you guys, me showing this to you, because then you can find and seek out a fun, like, great indie creator like Tony McMillen. And like, if you like Wolverine, Sam Keith's Wolverine, or any Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X, or I don't know, just any sort of great epic tale, you can definitely enjoy this book. I feel it's funny because I see like the appeal this would have to like a younger person, but I also see the appeal to an older person like myself, I guess for the nostalgia. Like it's relatable on a lot of levels, from like having had the life experience or to sort of being there right now. I just love like what a cluster that is. That is so cool. Like there's just so much beautiful art. I love his palette. I mean, that would be so amazing to see this sort of palette used in like animation, which is something else Tony should definitely get into. Just another, what do they call it? Notch in your bedpost. And here's what the first thought that came into my mind was, I love how this sort of has the reverse Dorothy effect. It goes from this amazing bright, and I'm going to use the word garish colors in a complimentary way because my art has been called garish, and I feel like it's supposed to be an insult, but what's not to love about bright, amazing colors? Like, I don't know, it's so cool, and it's instantly recognizable as like signature McMillen palette. But anyway, this reverse Dorothy or reverse Wizard of Oz effect, how it goes from this stark, bright, gorgeous, ethereal, otherworldly color to like black and white. And such a cool, I love the geometric design of this page here. Like, this is a visual feast. For real. I think it would definitely be fun to like be stoned or trip and read this. I've never tripped, but I can imagine. Anyway, this is just so cool. I love this. Oh, there's just, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's like this great emotional moment here, and just like such a, really brings the story full circle and sort of fleshes this out kind of almost perfectly. So kudos to you, Tony, for another amazing book. I can't wait to get into the next one. And it's terrific. I love the coloring, how like he's definitely using the color as well to tell the story, and sort of the change in the color of the sky from where it was to where it is now. I don't know, it just really brought home the movie, quote unquote, for me. You know, and that's part of visual storytelling too, that people just don't consider or really see surfacely or superficially, you know, like the cinematography and the color and all that stuff. Anyway, he's a master. I love you, Tony McMillen. You're amazing. Thanks for another great comic book. That is so terrific. There's the man himself looking crazy and handsome and authorly. Let's see, what was the other one? Okay, go to his Etsy shop. We'll link that up. Oh, okay, Serious Creatures is the book that I'm looking at next, because I can't get enough Tony McMillen. One of my, like I said, one of my favorite underground creators. Find him through the links, support his work. If you're looking for like a fun book that has major potential and just like is one of the best comics I've read in a long time, definitely check out Atta Boy. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit like, share my content, and I'll bring you some more soon. Thanks, guys.